Hi there, it's Nicole for Lawn Fawn, and today I'm excited to share with you this Happy Village new house congratulations card using the new Happy Village stamps and dies. These little houses can be used in so many different ways to create amazing little scenes, and I thought it would be fun to do kind of a rainbow assortment of images across my card using the simple road border and a simple stitched hillside border to kind of create the bottom part of my scene, and some of the amazing new Gotta Have Gingham blue paper for my sky. So those are all the components. I did kind of pre-die cut a lot of these pieces, or trim down my background and then die cut these pieces to save a little bit of time, but really easy and such a great way to create a simple background scene. It's very easy. I've always loved that Lawn Fawn brings out dies that complement one another. In this case, that simple stitched hillside border that I'm using kind of as the grass there complements the simple road border. So any dies that have the word simple in front of them, they generally work together. There's others that have more of that curvy edge, they go together. It just makes kind of extending and being able to create lots of things with the products you maybe already have so simple. Basically, this was just a few die cut pieces and then a background, and that creates this wonderful scene. So I'm going to go ahead and add my greetings for the front of the card first. Down here in this green, cilantro green cardstock border, this is the perfect little place to add my sentiment. There's going to be a lot going on in that upper part of the card. This is a nice open, solid area. I want to stamp welcome, home is where the heart is, part of the greetings from the Happy Village stamp set, right here along the bottom edge using Versamark ink, and then heat emboss with that incredible Lawn Fawn white embossing powder. Their embossing powder is so great. I know I've mentioned it before, but it's worth mentioning again. It's bright white, which is something I definitely look for in my cardstock. I'm going to sprinkle that on, heat this up, and then go ahead and set my background aside for a little bit so that I can stamp all of my little images here from the Happy Village stamp set on some smooth white cardstock. Now, I did a lot of this off camera as well. It's just stamping. I did use the Misty to stamp my images with the Lawn Fawn Jet Black ink, which is an ink for Copic coloring. I am going to stamp the schoolhouse, the trees, the little trio of houses, one of the individual houses, the fence, clouds, and then the sunshine and the car. Those are going to be all of the images from Happy Village that I stamp. And then I'm going to color these in with Copic markers. Down the left side of the screen, I have listed what colors I am using for the areas. So those 3 yellow colors were used for the sun. The B000 and a colorless blender were used for the clouds, just giving them a hint of color around the edges. Don't want to add a whole lot here. And then we're going to start with the schoolhouse. I did not color one of the houses with green because the green is going to be implemented with the trees. So my rainbow maybe doesn't go quite in order, but I think you get a hint of all the rainbow colors, and you'll see that as I color in the rest of the images. The schoolhouse is in shades of red with some gray for the roof. I really try to keep grays for the roofs across the board just to make it super easy. For the doors, the little steps leading up to the schoolhouse, and then just a little warm gray 00 for the clock. For the trees, this is YG01 and YG17. This takes a little bit of work to get a good blend, and I'm going to show you. I originally thought I would add some little dot detail to the tree after I get a nice good blend there. I really didn't like it, and I ended up trying to blend it out as best I could. It just, a lot of times I love that look. For whatever reason, it wasn't working for me here today. So I just blended that out when I was completely done. The more you saturate the paper with these 2 colors, the better the blend you're going to get. I know a lot of times I kind of caution you against over saturating your paper. You still need to be a little bit careful, but the more saturated your paper is, the easier it is to blend these particular two colors together, because they're not really close as far as number wise. I love them together, especially for grass and things, but it was a little trickier to get a good blend for the treetops. E55 and E57 for the tree trunks. And then some R27 and R46 for the car. The wheels are again going to be in warm gray 5 and 3, little red on the inside, Y19 for the headlight, B000 for the windows, maybe a little B01 there too, just to give a hint of color to the car windows. Warm gray 1 is all I used for the fence. I only added a tiny touch of color to that. I didn't want a bunch there. YR04 and 09 for the orange on the house. Warm gray 3 and 5 for the roof. And then I'm going to mix and match the colors of doors on my houses. I decided I didn't want to keep them neutral, and I didn't really want an orange door on an orange house, so I'm just going to mix them up. Really no rhyme or reason to what I'm doing there. So the orange house is going to have a red door. The yellow house is going to have a blue door. The blue house is going to have a pink door. We're skipping green, remember, because the green is going to come into play with the trees. And so my final little house is going to be blue with the pink, or not my final house, the final house in this trio. And then the single house on the end is going to be purple with a little blue door and pink heart. Really, really fun. Now, once I have everything colored, we need to finish this little house. The colors I like to use for purple are considered blue colors, blue 63 and 66. I use them a lot. They are some of my favorites, but I think they have a lot of that purple tint to them. And for me, this is the kind of color of purple, quote unquote purple, I like. So I go ahead and use them. And I think when paired with the rest of the coloring, I definitely think it looks purple. I am going to die cut all of these images now with the coordinating dies. I've got multiples of clouds and trees to really fill in that whole arch on my card, and then I'm going to start adhering everything. I used a combination of a tape runner and glue dots, depending on the size of the image. Really kind of the center point of the whole scene is that trio of houses, so that's going to be kind of there in the center. I'm going to hold off adhering my car until I have everything else where I want it to go. That way I kind of have a better idea. I know that I want to add the speech bubble and a custom sentiment in that speech bubble stamped on vellum to finish the design, but I want to see how everything else is going to fall first. And isn't this cute? Having all of these little Happy Village components fill in that arch of the simple road border. It just works out perfectly and creates the cutest little scene. I absolutely love these images, and I think they work for so many things. They can be used individually. You can pair them with other little houses and things. I just love this stamp set. So we got to grab that last cloud and tree to help fill in. In fact, the last tree is going to be kind of tucked back behind the fence to the left of the purple house. And then we got some clouds, and we also want to add some birds. There is a bird die that coordinates. However, I decided not to use it for this. I think the birds look great stamped directly on that Gotta Have Gingham background. These Gotta Have Gingham backgrounds are subtle. They're not a super dark pattern, meaning if you want to stamp over them, you're still going to be able to see the stamping, especially depending on what kind of image you're using. The birds, no problem. You're going to be able to definitely see them because it is a nice, soft, very subtle gingham background. So pretty, and a nice change up from maybe a solid cardstock background or an inked background. I do a ton of inked backgrounds, but sometimes it's really fun to kind of, I call it kicking it old school, where we have lots of pattern paper, but we kind of, I think, maybe have moved away from that a little bit in card making, and I always love to revisit it on certain designs, especially where it just falls perfectly and works perfectly with what we're trying to achieve. So there is my little car, kind of in the center as well. I really felt like the car centered worked the best. I played with it in a couple different areas, and that just worked the best. My trio of clouds with this, and then the sunshine. On a scrap piece of vellum, I'm going to stamp the speech bubble from Happy Village, and then also Home Sweet Home. That greeting, I think, more than the others, worked really well with the particular sentiments that I'm using throughout the rest of the card. But there are some amazing other little sentiments that you can customize this speech bubble with, so you can really make it whatever you want. Thank you cards would be darling, especially maybe making a set of thank you cards for a new homeowner or someone who's moved to a new house. Those are always things that I love to have on hand to be able to give, and I think that would make a really nice gift. We're going to die cut this. Now, one of my favorite ways to add vellum to a card, if it's small enough, is I love running it through the Xyron Sticker Maker. This is going to put adhesive over the entire back of this, so no creative hiding of the adhesive, and it's going to adhere nice and flat. You're not going to see anything, and that works perfect. The last thing we want to do to finish up this particular card design is on the inside. I want to stamp one of the other phrases from the stamp set that reads, "Congrats on your new home." And I'm just going to do this with a nice black ink, and we're adding those birds as well. I've kind of forgot about that. I mentioned it earlier, but hadn't stamped them yet. I'm going to stamp those 3 times, so those little birds are flying there in the sky. We'll flip the card open, stamp "Congrats on your new home." That finishes off the design so wonderfully. I love that there are so many greetings now in the whole Lawn Fawn line, and a lot of things that work together, even within a stamp set like I'm doing here, but maybe multiple stamp sets as well, that you can really finish the inside of your card and customize it with a nice sentiment. I'm going to trim up my card just a little bit. I see a little bit is overhanging my side fold card base. And that will finish up this congratulations new home card featuring the Lawn Fawn Happy Village stamps and dies. Thanks for joining me today for this card featuring Lawn Fawn stamps and dies. The supplies I used are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more videos featuring Lawn Fawn that you might be interested in. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel for weekly card making and stamping videos. We'll catch you next time.